Well, in his 220 magnificent games for the West Coast Eagles, it obviously wasn't enough because he's coming back out with the boots on this weekend, and with his sister Sam taking the international headlines as a superstar Matilda in the round ball game. Daniel Kerr playing for the Owls, the West Coast Eagle Owls, who are instituted by John Worsfold, I think, the older, wiser, larger, slower Owls, playing against the Perth Demons in a curtain raiser to the waffle match between West Coast Waffle Team and Perth Demons this weekend. And it's a very good morning to our mischievous little mate, Daniel Kerr. Good morning, Kerry.
Morning, guys. How are you?
Very well, mate. Now, what's happening down there? You've got a bunch of the boys back together for the Owls and going to have a bit of a crack down there on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, mate. Carmel, I used to do the Hungry Jacks appearances back in my playing days, my early playing days. Me and Carmel are very good friends, and we met up with Sam, the guy that manages all the Hungry Jacks here, and we thought it would be a good idea, now that Hungry Jacks have been back on board for a couple of years, to have a curtain raiser game at the new facility and, play against the Perth Demons, who, really have hosted that ground for a very long time. So
you ate a few whoppers and told a few as well?
Oh, mate, I ate that much when I went away to France. I think I went from 84 to 92.2 or something. I weighed myself on the airport scales that you put your luggage on. I was very shocked. So I'm not in the best shape, but I'm going to have a go anyway.
They didn't make you pay for a bit of excess luggage, did they?
Mate, I was lucky I was human. If it was my bags, I was gone.
Now, Daniel, I think that fast food facility is at Lathlane Park now. I think there is a Hungry Jacks down there at Lathlane Park now. There won't be any sort of running to that during the game, will there, by amongst the Owl squad, will there?
Mate, if the Owl squad that play actually get a 50% off card for 12 months. And there is the one at the new facility as well. So I'm not sure if we're getting Hungry Jacks for food pre-game or after the game, but it's definitely on the card.
Who's the best on the tooth there? Adrian Barrich, he's going on some weird diets every now and then, but I think he could still smack one in here and there.
Yeah, Barry's a bit of a closet eater, I think. Probably Ashley Shampy will be right up there. I wouldn't be far off at the minute. Matthew Prittis is playing. He still looks exactly like he did when he won the Brownlow.
And probably always will.
Yeah, he's amazing. He doesn't get younger, but he definitely doesn't get older. Brendan Fuster's playing, Michael Pryor. We've got Troy Wilson, who's still in fantastic nick, but he reckons his knees are a little bit sore. So I've got a pretty good team. Wirra's told me he's turning up, but you never know with Wiz.
Well, the last call he was stuck in Roban still, which is a very David Wirra punter story. But Brendan Fuster, the buzz, he's having a crack too.
Yeah, so we've got a few, ex-players from, even prior to my era. So it's going to be a really good day. Hopefully we have a win. We're going to take it reasonably seriously. We've got Soa, the Hulk, a UFC fighter playing full forward in case there's any trouble. And, it should be a good drink after as well.
What sort of, I wonder whether any of his holds are a bit illegal in footy these days, or particularly in a game like this. Chris Billings has just rung in and asked if just wondering what Hulk is, the Hulk Palali's is allowed to actually do out there.
We want to know what Chris Billings is allowed to do. I think Chris playing a little bit of white light fever there. So
what a great matchup between those two would be.
I wouldn't mind seeing it. I'd like to be a spectator. I might put myself on the bench for that one and have a good look.
I'd pay for it.
As a matter of fact, so would I.
Now, Daniel, we just heard earlier that goal of the year that you kicked in 2003. Will there be any of that this weekend?
Mate, I don't think so. I played for Taylor Lakes before I went away to France, and I had about one or two good quarters of football in me, and I've put on a fair bit of weight since then. So it may be in my dreams the night before the game, but definitely not so during.
Now, I notice that Mark Lacroix is down as the runner. Just couldn't quite get him up in time for the game?
I'm still trying to get him down there. He's not a definite cancellation. I reckon Lecker will be down there for the first maybe quarter and a half, 2 quarters. He can't play because of an issue with his wrist, but he'll definitely be relaying Carmel's messages. Carmel, the manager of Hungry Jacks, is actually our coach. So.
If it's a good fishing day, he won't be there.
Yeah, I'm not sure what he's got on, but if you follow Lecker on Instagram, he's absolutely doing nothing but having fun. Which is not a bad thing to do after your football career.
No, very true. Well, speaking of careers, your sister is carving out one. Now, Well, I know. I probably share your thoughts a little bit. I know that you really wanted to be a midfielder, and that may have caused some family disruption there between you and her and your relationship together, which has always been a bit fiery, to be honest. But I think she'd be absolutely remarkable in the midfield, Sam.
Yeah, well, I think the old man thinks a little bit the same. She is one of the best strikers in the world and leading the Golden Boot at the minute in America. So it's a hard argument to make, but me and Dad were both midfielders, and she's got to follow in our footsteps in one way or the other. Well, I just think with the amount of possession she'd get, it might be a little bit more interesting, and I'd like to see it, but I don't think it will happen. Very hard sell to Samantha. She's pretty happy where she is, I think.
Well, I think it's fair to say she's always done the opposite to you, hasn't she?
Not always the opposite, but the majority of the opposite. I taught her to be everything I'm not.
You mentioned there, talking about Sam, she obviously had the experience over there in France for the World Cup and said to suck on that one after the Matildas had that win. Were you proud of her in that, just to say, no, you know what, we're going about this our own way?
Oh, look, I was just proud of her, the way she held herself. She was a really good captain. I mean, she missed the penalty at the end, which was disappointing. That suck on that one was probably a little bit of me coming out. I know she's so competitive, and there was a little bit of, there's a little bit, it was more about the coach, and she was really sticking behind her coach and saying that they were back in form. And, yeah, then I ended up sculling a Guinness. I don't know how in France a girl got a shirt made up within 24 hours and me accidentally bumped into her. It was quite bizarre, but look, the Matildas went in there ranked 6. They probably underachieved a little bit, but I think they'll be better for it next year, and hopefully we qualify for the Olympics in Japan.
I think that suck on that one comment came straight out of the Kerr/Regan DNA that we all know and love from down there in the East Fremantle region. And look, I spoke to her briefly after that situation, and she was just sick of the haters. And you've obviously had your own over the years too, Daniel, and you can probably understand where she's coming from. You don't have to do much wrong as a female international sportswoman to get the haters going, and we've seen that across many different codes. And I know she just had a gutsful, hadn't she?
Yeah, well, the thing with me, but I normally incited my haters and probably deserved it at times. But the women's soccer team, they're ranked 6th in the world. They're going really, really well for. If our men's team was ranked 6th in the world, they pretty much could walk on water over here. But for some reason, the girls seem to draw, some criticism at times. They changed the coach prior to the World Cup, which really magnified their preparation. And they probably don't get the kudos as a whole team they deserve nationally. But in saying that, they probably had to perform a little bit better to, get that recognition. And, we're looking at the Olympics next year, and I think they'll perform better there.
How do you think the West Coast Eagles are placed? Second on the ladder at the moment. Do you think they can make it back-to-back this year and probably become the greatest West Coast side?
Yeah, mate, they look good, don't they? I mean, you go through their back line, it's so creative. I like Will Schofield at full-back, kind of the general, kind of gets some defensive thinking in their back line. When their back line's just beautiful. They've got a forward line that's the most potent in the AFL, and their midfield's really, really clicking together. They have some guys that are in better form than last year. I mean, Dom Sheed wasn't playing like this last year during the year. I think even Yoey's taken his footy to another level, and a guy that we never really speak about anymore as much as we should, Andrew Gaff, I think he's had one game or two under 30 possessions. So when you're finding that much football and you've got the firepower up forward and a little bit of magic with the two Indigenous boys and Shannon Hearn and Jeddah off the halfback flank, I think you're pretty close to a perfect mixture, really.
Yeah, they're going very nicely. I think they're definitely the team to beat. Well, Perth will play West Coast's Waffle side at Mineral Resources Park at 2:15 on Saturday. There'll be a curtain raiser with the Owls, the West Coast Eagles Owls, all the legends out there playing against the old Perth Redlegs. It must, after all this time, be pretty pleasing for you, Daniel, to be able to still mix with your old teammates and old club mates and get out there and have a bit of a laugh and a crack.
Yeah, mate, it's going to be good to catch up with the boys. We're hoping to do it. Start an annual thing. This is going to be the first of many, hopefully. Hungry Jacks and the Eagles have had a long relationship, and we're just going to use it to really, get the Perth boys, the Eagles boys together, have a bit of a crack on the field, and then maybe have a couple of beers after as well.
And you're still doing your charity work, Daniel?
Yeah, so together we can. We're still doing after-school programs in Armidale. hoping to get a few more, mainly football. Added some soccer in now that Sam's getting reasonably good at it. Hoping that when she retires, she'll come and help me out. And it's kind of my passion. I work for Statewide Security as their corporate client manager, and then in the afternoons, a couple of days a week, I work with some young Indigenous kids, which I just love doing. They're just so talented, and they're just so easy to teach football and soccer. It's really enjoyable.
Well, I'm sure a lot of people will want to get out there to the Waffle match and see a few of their old favourites playing out there and see if you can't give Ashley Sampi a leg up to see if you can take a better hanger than Liam Ryan. But we'll see how you go there, Daniel. You might have to do some weights during the week.
Yeah, I don't think Sam's going to be getting anywhere near the heights he used to, but I think he may kick a couple of goals. He knows how to find the footy.